Ciao ragazzi, happy Tuesday and welcome back to another episode of Pathfinder. Today's guest is Giuseppe Santangelo, and he is Italian, as you can tell by the name. So it was a good opportunity for me to use a little bit of my very rusty Italian. But Giuseppe has worked on a range of pretty exciting space programs and actually started and sold a drone company to another drone company called RCAT Holdings. And this drone technology, which we'll get into, has a lot of applications in GPS denied areas of Earth, and then, as you might imagine, all these areas offer where there aren't GPS broadcasts. So we talk about Mars helicopters. I'm not going to bury the lead anymore. But before we get into Mars helicopters, I want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor. Our reliance on satellites for navigation, communications, commerce, and intelligence has grown exponentially in the new space economy. Unfortunately, the risks have grown as well, and the need to prioritize cybersecurity around space assets is critical. Spider Oak Mission Systems provides space cybersecurity products for military, commercial, and civilian operators. Their Orbit Secure solution is the first to deliver zero trust security to zero gravity environments, protecting space communication, command, control, data transmission, storage, and integrity at the data level. To learn more about Orbit Secure, check out their website at spideroak-ms.com. Again, that is spideroak-ms.com. And without further ado, let's dive into today's Pathfinder with Giuseppe Santangelo. Ciao Giuseppe, benvenuto a Pathfinder.
Ciao, molto lieto di essere qui con voi.
Come stai?
Io sto benissimo.
Benissimo.
I don't want to challenge you too much your Italian, but
Parlo un po'. Ho vissuto in Italia tra un anno a Firenze e Parma.
bravissimo. Firenze, bellissimo,
Sì.
stupendo posto. Parma anche.
Il mio italiano non è bellissimo, è così. So, cambiano inglese. Let's switch to English.
Yeah, sure. Let's switch to that.
That's about as far as I could get. So I'm excited for this conversation, and I think it's going to take us all over the place and to a little bit of sort of terra incognita for Pathfinder. I'm excited to talk about drones, but top of the show, would love for you to give the audience a quick intro of your educational and professional background and experience leading up to Skypersonic.
Sure. No, I'm Italian. As you can see, my English is good, with a strong Italian accent, which is something that I'm proud of, I would say. But I'm US person. I live here. I'm a US citizen, and I live in the United States from about 11 years.
Okay.
I came here for my job. Before Skypersonic, I was CEO of an engineering company, pretty mid-sized, about 1,000 employees, working for aerospace and automotive. I am a mechanical engineer. I studied astronautical engineering in Rome, and I worked pretty much most of my experience in aerospace. I teach at the Wayne State University and Lawrence Tech University here in Michigan, aerospace propulsion, space system engineering, and artificial intelligence dedicated to drones and aerospace. So my background is a full technical background.
Awesome. Great. I think that's a really helpful starting point. When did you start getting interested in space? Does that go back all the way to, your formal education and training?
Yes, I believe as many of us, or many of people that are interested in space, my passion started when I was a kid, 5, 6, 7 years old. I grew up with the Star Trek, Star Wars, and all this stuff. And dreaming when I was a kid about my future in the space, the future of the humanity, other people, other culture, and so forth. So I grew up, and I still have the same passion, even I'm a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to the space from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
from really to the beginning. And now I'm happy. I'm proud to be part of some important projects of NASA and my company too.
If you had to pick one between Star Wars and Star Trek, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. Which one would you choose?
Definitely Star Trek.
Okay. Okay.
Star Trek. I'm a Star Trek guy. I know all the seasons and all the kind of movement. Are you a fan of Star Trek too or not?
Yeah, I am, but I'm gonna out myself here. I'm probably more of a fan of Star Wars. I just grew up on it, and yeah, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
for being the managing editor of a space media startup. I definitely should be more well read up or more well watched. I don't know how you would say that, but on Star Trek. So, oopsies, just outed myself here. But so you worked for Thales Alenia. I think I'm probably mispronouncing that, but why don't you tell us a little bit about what you were doing there? And I also want to open the aperture a bit, and just hear your perspective and your take on the Italian space sector and how that's developed in recent years, or maybe over the last decade.
Okay, thank you for this question. I joined uh, Thales Alenia Space in 1999.
Okay, tell us.
Thales or Thales, depends. If you pronounce it a French way or the Italian way, there is a little battle between French and Italy. So sometimes we we fight for the wine, we fight for everything, also maybe for the name. But good, we're still good friends. So Thales or Thales Alenia, it's the main industry in Italy that produce space equipment that works in the space. I joined them in 1999 when I was a thermoflight dynamics engineer. I worked a lot on an international space station for the fire suppression system, for the air conditioning system, for the as a computational flight dynamics engineer. And then I moved on a special studies to work on scientific satellites and scientific mission. I used to work in a very cool project like LISA, which is a Live Interferometer Space Antenna. It's a great project still going on to be launched from NASA. And this project is going to capture gravitational waves by using three satellites at 60 million distance between each other in a triangle. And they have to be able to capture the relative distance of about 1 nanometer over 60 millions of kilometers. That is the kind of amplitude of a gravitational wave you can capture.
Mhm.
I worked also on Gaia. Gaia is a satellite for a search of extraterrestrial life and other stars. This satellite was launched a few years ago, and now this satellite is working. I was in charge of the main telescope on board, the development and some studies to demonstrate the validation. This telescope is 76 meters of focal length and is able to understand some potential extraterrestrial planets by using the parallax methodology with two telescopes on board that will calculate the difference between the same view from the two perspective, the two telescopes, let's say. And I used to work on the control system, that system. I worked also for thrusters, micro thruster systems to the micro propulsions to keep the satellite super stable. You can imagine when you look to the sky, you want to have the satellite super
Mhm.
stable without any disturbance. Even the solar flare can disturb the satellites. So I used to work on many projects. Also, another cool project I worked on was the reentry system, a kind of intelligent reentry system, in the corridor, from a computational fluid dynamics point of view and aerothermal flux. So I had the chance to work in many projects, and which is a blessing for me because I grew up on there.
Yeah, yeah. You've been all over the ecosystem, and Thales Alenia it's a joint venture between Thales and Leonardo. I should know this. Do I have that right?
Yeah, more or less. Thales, a quick story of Thales Alenia. Before was the part of the national, IRE group, which is a government industry in aerospace. At the beginning, when I joined them, aeronautical part and a space part were the same company, separate in aeronautic division and space
Okay.
division. I was working for the space division. Then after that, the two companies separated. Leonardo itself is more aeronautical defense, and Thales Alenia, which is a partnership with Leonardo, also is with Thales, as you can imagine, ownership on board. Thales Alenia is maybe not everybody knows. Italian industry built almost 40% of international space station. We did the Node 3, Node 2, Cupola, ATV, some many spaces, MPLM, multi-purpose logistic modules on the space station, uh, automatic transfer vehicles. So we did many, many things on the space station. So Thales Alenia is a great experience in the integration and development of space component for human and for manned fields.
Yeah, that is a very fun fact, actually. I do want to switch gears to Skypersonic and the work you're doing there. And eventually, of course, we'll touch on the exciting test that you recently completed. Let's start really simple. How did you come up with the name? What's the story behind the name, Skypersonic?
Yeah, and thanks for this question because when you think about the Skypersonic and think about drones, you don't see a connection or relationship. Why Skypersonic and drones? And this is a very fun reason. When I founded the company in 2013, I quit for my previous job. I was considering boring. I don't want to say to offend anybody doing my job, but as a CEO of an engineering company, doing engineering for many other company, I would like to get in more on a space. I don't know my patience. If I have to found a company to create a company, better to do on what I love instead to do on what I don't love, right? And I was loving the aerospace. So I had the idea. And at the very beginning, the company was founded with another friend, which was a mission manager of SpaceX, another Italian guy, Marco Villa. And we decided why we don't do something really extremely interesting, but at the same time challenging from a space point of view. So why we don't do transoceanic commercial suborbital flight. So I want to go to take a coffee in Rome and be back the same day. So let's do a hypersonic flight on the sky. So sky hypersonic. So that's is the reason, the beginning of the Skypersonic. So they was working on the suborbital transcontinental flight. And then that was the starting point. We started to work on that, but I realized that maybe the subject was too complex for us. And I saw my little son at that time that was playing with a ball, and I think I can put a drone inside the ball, I can roll and fly. And so I got with the idea with the skycopter. That was in 2014.
As they like to say in the startup world, you pivoted from supersonic suborbital flight to drones and intelligent autonomous drone software, that sort of thing. So after that pivot, what problem specifically within the drone world, and I assume the then nascent drone world, what problem were you setting out to accomplish?
Yes, I think the most important, we want to distinguish ourselves to make a differentiation. And the differentiation was the flying inside. So from the beginning, as you see in my logo, there is the cage around. We thought instead to fly outside, let's fly where we don't want to have any person going there. Any people have to go to make an inspection because the environment could be very dangerous or complex. So we invented this idea to have a full caged drone able to fly indoor. And when I say indoor, I don't mean just generally indoor. In the sewage, in the nuclear plant, in area that are really difficult to reach. So the biggest challenge we face it from the beginning, how to keep the transmission and the connection with the drone without any problem, even the drone is 150 meters underground, or how we can navigate the drone without any GPS, how we can manage the camera with such a smaller illumination to emphasize the defects of the system. So we worked on that, and thanks to our customers, they supported us to solve all these problems and the issues. And so now the product or Skycopter was from the beginning designed to fly indoor, inside.
And this gets into part of your tagline and a perennial problem, I guess I would say, with drones and other connected devices, mobility devices that rely on navigation or typically needed to rely on navigation. GPS denied. Can you explain what that means and maybe how it relates to indoor flight and then other situations where the GPS signals might be intentionally getting blocked or jammed?
Right. Yes. So I think, first of all, let's say a postulate. All the commercial drones we use outside, 99%, they rely on GPS because it's the only way to have this kind of easy way to fly drones. From the DJI to any other, they have a GPS system on board. So once they lock in the GPS, obviously they have other system. They have an accelerometer, IMU, barrels, and other things. Obviously, not only that sensor, cameras, optical flow sensors, so forth. But the most important, I would say, outdoor is the GPS, because if you lose the connection, GPS will bring the drone back to the home, or can keep flying, can have orbiting, and you can set waypoints and do everything. So when we say the drone is autonomous, because a good portion of this autonomy comes from the GPS, is the GPS. For us, GPS denied means there is no GPS signal, or the GPS signal is so degraded that you don't have any way to rely on that. So you have to use other systems to keep a sort of easy way to pilot the drone. And obviously, you can use time of flight sensors, optical flow sensor, SLAM technology on the cameras, artificial intelligence, many of these. But even these systems in our scenarios, they lack a little bit, because let's say there is no illumination enough, dust, magnetic interference. So you cannot use the compass. You cannot use because of so many metals. So at the end of the day, we discovered that we gotta have also a good portion of work from the pilot. So the pilot is important for our job in the GPS denial. So I don't mean that the drone is full manual. There is many systems that support the drone to be a little bit stable in a very complex scenario, in a pipe. But having the cage, you can bump around, they can keep the drone safe, but you still need a pilot from the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. So very much still a human in the loop with this type of product. How do you maintain the connectivity though? Is it cellular networks? Is it Wi-Fi? Like, what are you using? Because I know that part of the uniqueness of your stack or your solution is that these remote pilots can fly from, 1,000, 2,000 miles away across the world. So obviously they need some sort of like proverbial fat pipe to connect to the drone.
Yes. Okay. And this is going to become something hopefully I can explain in a simple way, even it's super complex. First of all, there is a connection between the drone and let's call the ground station. Because as you can imagine, inside a pipe, under 100 meters underground, there is no internet, no GPS, no satellite links. There is nothing there. The only link you can provide to the drone, you have to provide from your ground station. And then we have a stable link between the drone and the ground station, what we call ground station. That link is It's a radio frequency link to the frequency, the lowest frequency possible to penetrate the wall. We go obviously in a frequency can transmit video and telemetry and the controls in a way we already established from years. Then from the ground station, you may have the pilot not locally there, but located elsewhere. So the best way to connect the ground station to the pilot is internet or cellular phone. So when the pandemic happened, we had that problem. We had customers around the world in the Middle East or in other places, and they need to send pilot there to perform the inspection or to support the training. And we couldn't because pandemic. So, and to avoid to die, because the revenue was lowering, was going really low, thanks to this, we needed to invent a system that could support the inspection or whatever from anywhere. The main problem of this is the latency, because we're talking together, me and you in this moment, and I believe we have a latency about 300, 400 millisecond, I believe, in this moment. So maybe more. That will be totally fine for us. Human brain is able to cover that gap in somehow. But when you come to fly, to pilot a drone, you need to be really in real time to have a direct filer. So we needed to invent a software platform able to lower down the latency, the lag at the lowest possible. And so the latency we achieved now is about, I would say, transatlantically or transoceanic connection about 100 millisecond, less than 100 millisecond. In the same continent, about 50, 40 millisecond, which is really low, really low. When you have a latency less than 50 millisecond, it's like a real time. A portion of this latency is by the infrastructure. I would say by the physics, because every 100 kilometers or 300 kilometers, lights needs 1 millisecond to cover because the speed of lights is limited. So we start from a point that just for infrastructure, if you have a flight between one place in United States and one place in Europe, which is average 5,000, 7,000 kilometers, you have already 20, 30 milliseconds by the infrastructure. You cannot go lower than that. The rest, it's what we do with our systems. So I'm very proud about the work my team and Skypersonic did, because we were able to lower the latency to this very small number, consider that we are flying through a generic internet connection, sometimes with LTE cellular phone, 4G.
Yeah, this is really fascinating. I want to continue on the technology, but we are going to take a very quick break. Time for a short break to hear about our sponsors again. Space is the new frontier for cybersecurity. Spider Oak Mission Systems builds space cybersecurity solutions for civilian, military, and commercial space operations. Their Orbit Secure protocol delivers zero trust security to zero gravity environments, protecting space communication, command, control, data transmission, storage, and integrity at the data level. To learn more about how zero trust architectures will revolutionize security in new space, download the new NSR Spider Oak sponsored white paper titled Space Cybersecurity, Current State and Future Needs. You can find that white paper at spacecyber.com, and that's spacecyber.com, easy link to remember. Or check out their website at spideroak-ms.com and tell them Pathfinder sent you. So on the topic, continuing on the topic of technology, I think it's interesting. It's kind of ironic for the purposes of this discussion because, GPS supports a lot of drones, but not yours. When evaluating the technology stack that comprises Skypersonic's drones, are there any other sorts of technologies that were initially developed for space at some point, over the last 20 to 30 years that have either reached a point of affordability that they can be integrated into an industrial drone, or have reached economies of scale in like other industries? And the reason I ask is because NASA talks a lot about spillovers and like commercialization opportunities of technologies that a long time ago were initially developed for space.
This is a very crucial question. And I believe we have to put on the discussion uh, another term, space economy. So in other sense, the people thinks that the space exploration, space technology, yes, there is some spin-off, some connection to the real world, but in the reality, maybe we don't have to spend all this money for this exploration. And at this point, I would
Yeah.
like to say there are two elements that demonstrate completely the opposite. The first one is the level of the access to the higher education studies when we are in a phase as a worldwide going towards our limit over the sky. There are studies that demonstrated that during the 60s, with the Apollo missions and NASA going to the moon, we have a boom of people who are studying PhD, engineering, physics, and so forth, because they were passionate, they were inspired by these. So this is a very important piece. If we feel every day on our newspaper discussion about wars, problems, difficulties, the people get depressed and they don't believe they can go over. If you see that we're trying to go over our limits as a human being and try to colonize another planets or to discover there is life from other place and not only on the Earth, that's going to create this inspirational thoughts of the people that they're going to grow. That's number one, which is maybe the most important. We are here and we are not with the stones, writing on the stones, because we have these inspirational things, everybody. The second element is technology wise. People don't think how much from the space development and technology we are using in our technology, in our things. Sometimes the people are small things, like some material stuff, some things, but not. Let's start from the main one, GNSS, which is the connection between all the GPS system, US and other governments. Thanks to that, all of us, our life is different, right? Because all the geolocalization for many things, logistics and so on, is a very important thing. Technology related to the observation of the Earth, like weather and so forth. This is something that is in our hands in this moment. Internet connection is booming. The satellite, the large bandwidth connection, like Starlink from SpaceX, just to say one. So the low orbit satellites, about 300 kilometers of altitude, they can create a more stable connection than 5G, I would say. So I will see in the future a reduction of investment of infrastructure and increasing of investment in satellites technology. It's true, robotic things. You have to go to Mars, you gotta have autonomous systems that can manage by themselves with this. Mars, Earth is a link between 8 and 20 minutes of latency. There is no way to do any real-time stuff there. So you gotta have better having an autonomous system. So the pyrotechnic system, the thruster system, the SLAM technology have the rules on this. I would go even earlier. I was able and so fortunate to stay with a person that was one of the Apollo mission project manager, and it was one of the founder of MathWorks. And he told me MATLAB started on the lunar module because we need to create something for the astronauts to have a scientific coding, but not could not be a guide, a graphic unit interfaces. So I have to be something with not really a Fortran or C++ development, but more sophisticated from a mathematics point of view. They can calculate quaternion, matrix, and stuff like that. So that was the beginning of this. So I do believe that maybe 60% of our technology comes from the space that we use.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. We harp on that a little bit at Payload, just the notion that people tend to draw associations between like human space flight or like the sexiest or just like most attention grabbing aspects of the space economy, even if they're, still pretty nascent and small. And folks outside of sort of the space, what I'll say in group, don't make the connections between, connectivity, broadband, remote sensing, Earth observation, navigation, et cetera, et cetera. So in keeping with this conversation going kind of on either side of the Kármán line, we talked about how these technologies, how there's the downstream effects, excuse me, for us on Earth. But I want to switch over now to talk about how your drone technology could be useful for space. And why don't we start with the recent test at Mount Etna? Can you walk us through what that was and what you were hoping to achieve and if you achieved it?
Yes, the test was pretty important because we 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 achieved this important contract with NASA to support them in analog missions on Mars, which is right the testing all the technology for a future manned mission on Mars, and supporting the astronauts in playing with these new technologies. One of these is a drone technology because we can fly on Mars, we can fly on many other planets that have a little bit of atmospheres, like Titan and so forth. There is other missions from NASA like Dragonfly and so forth about drones on different places. So to achieve this capability, NASA asked us to provide them hardware and software, in particular for remote piloting in real time, because it doesn't need GPS and whatever, to give to the astronauts, to the crew, a tool to fly and to test drone, even they will be confined in Houston Space Center, and they can fly everywhere in the world in location that
Yeah.
are similar to Mars, like Mount Etna, because Mount Etna over a certain altitude, I would say over 9,000 feet, there is no vegetation. Everything is lava based. So there is lava tubes. There are areas that you don't see anything around, just a kind of Martian morphology life scenarios. So, but testing over there was important to, first of all, establish that the internet connection was sufficient to let the people on Houston or United States piloting the drones and the rover. Secondly, power side, field testing technology, and so forth. So we were able to demonstrate and validate that our technology can work anywhere, really anywhere in the world, even in the most difficult scenarios like Montreal.
Inhospitable.
Yes, an hospitable place.
Yeah. The most in-house.
Exactly. Internet was the most important. So we were able to use different technology. We tested different provider of internet, bridge it to a place rather than satellite connection. We discovered the satellites is the best. We can use satellite connection to low orbit satellites, internet connection that works perfectly.
Oh, interesting. Can you say what LEO constellation you were using?
Yeah, for sure. Starlink.
Okay. Add that as another use case for Starlink, piloting drones around volcanoes. That's fascinating. So on Mars, in practice, what would this look like? Would you need like a local internet network on Mars? And then I assume, in a future crewed mission that the astronauts on the red planet would be piloting this, like not Johnson Space Center here in Houston. I'm actually in Houston right now, so Johnson's across town. But so what would that look like?
Yes, sure. Not from here on Mars. That would be awesome if we do that. We will discover a new way to pass through the time, right, and go over the speed of lights, which is not possible physically for now. But from Mars to Mars, from habitat on Mars, they could cover all the surface, flying and acting, piloting, even rovers from there. The technology, I would say, it's simpler than technology here, because here the technology is crowded. You can just obviously have a bridge with satellites or with other way to manage that. I don't believe that transmitting controls and command and video, it's a problem there. It's already, technology is already there. The biggest issue is the aerodynamics for the drones. In this moment, NASA demonstrated that Ingenuity completely completed all the missions, and it was a very important achievements for us, able to demonstrate that drones can fly in another atmosphere, in another place, in another planet. But that means, from a technical point of view, it's a big difficulty, because you have to fly where there is the very thin atmosphere. I don't know, in Mars, you have the same atmosphere in terms of density that you have on 30 kilometers of altitude on the Earth. 1% more or less of atmosphere. So how to fly over there? Yes, it's possible, as long as you can spin the propellers more. So the motor have to spin, they have to rotate faster. Obviously the air or the atmosphere is less dense, so you have less drag, which helps from the kV of the motors. So the number of the speed motors can do per each volt provided to the motor. And we are actually working on a stratocopter, which means a drone can fly over 30 kilometers of altitude. We are in a good direction. We did a preliminary feasibility. We were able to demonstrate fly over 12 kilometers of altitude with a commercial drone, not a very sophisticated drone. That's another important thing. So we don't have to have a super complex technology. In this moment on Mars, Ingenuity is very complex, because they created such a very complex propeller with the carbon and with a kind of a sponge inside of carbon to make sure they are robust enough, elastic enough to resist to that. We believe that we could use commercial material to fly on Mars.
Yeah, off the shelf,
almost.
to some extent. Yeah. To some extent.
We are doing that. We demonstrated we can do. Theoretically, we demonstrated we can do, because our test, let's say, is demonstrated is feasible. This is our next achievement: be able to fly over over a certain altitude, and we can achieve two returns. One is flying on Mars, on other planets. So our technology is not yet not that reached that level, but I believe we can. And the second, we can use drones on a certain altitude to supply low orbit satellites tasks.
Interesting.
And will be cheaper, super cheap. Instead to have low satellites to cover that kind of applications, we could use drones on that.
What would the propulsion be for these systems on Mars? And would there be any way to refuel them, or no?
That's a very good question. I know the propulsion is still considered the electrical propulsion, which is the simplest in this moment, and that will help because you can recharge the battery over the day. The problem that we have there, the electrical problem, is that you have a very low temperature overnight. You got to keep the battery warm, and having this heat to give to the battery, you are spending a lot of energy of the battery itself. So that's why Ingenuity can fly over 90 seconds every day, because you need all the rest of the time to charge the battery. So we have to come to some solutions that we cannot. It's not unmeetable to have 90-second fly every day. We should go like a few hours. and then maybe thinking about a different kind of combined propulsion, or flying in a kind of a gliding system over Mars, which is super difficult because the air is so thin. But we have to find a solution, a technology solution. In this moment, there is no clear technology solution to increase the flight time.
Yeah. I mean, flying drones on Mars could be the subject of its own hour-long conversation easily. But I do want to keep us moving here. And so my last question, I suppose, would be, Ingenuity has been this remarkable success story, and it's been awesome to cheer the helicopter on from Earth. Are you just closely watching everything that Ingenuity does and diligently like taking notes and everything? And are you like even working with the JPL or are you in contact with any of the, program managers, engineers who are working on the Ingenuity program?
Our contract is based to another department, which is manned mission, and so we don't have any formal connection right now. Even I'm studying what they are doing, because their NASA is super friendly. They release all the videos, all the stuff, so you can study that. So, and my next step to try to
Okay.
figure out how we can do a synergy with them and with other teams. They are working now. Is not only NASA working on that ideas. There are many other teams around the world that are working on this technology over different planets.
So moving on, got to put my analyst hat on. And also I should mention I'm an amateur drone pilot and photographer myself. I have the FAA Part 107 license. So I'm pretty familiar, I'd like to think, with this space. But your parent company, Red Cat Holdings, can you tell me a little bit about that? I think, and there are parallels here to the space world too. I've seen in recent years, everyone's seen in the industry, there's a lot of, sort of deep tech holding companies that are starting to arise. And this sounds like there's some parallels here with your parent company, but walk us through the decision to sell to Red Cat and also walk us through, where you sit within the wider portfolio of capabilities that the company has.
Yes, we joined Red Cat a couple of years ago because the project, the dream they had, Jeff, which is the CEO, provided me a very interesting picture. Said, instead to be separated, we
Hmm.
can connect all our capabilities and our talents in different in different aspects of the drones world, and then we can
Hmm.
be united. We can make the difference. This is the situation. The Red Cat works in different areas. Works in the military area with the Thales drone. We provide a super elaborated, I would say, intelligent, small drones. It's called Golden Eagle, and already we have agreement with the DoD and with the defense around the world, I would say, to provide these in a huge numbers to all the people. This is a very cool stuff. Then we have Skypersonic that provide drones for industrial inspections, and obviously software for piloting from anywhere to anywhere in the world. Then we have Fatshark, which is a super famous company able to provide goggles and systems for drones, I would say nerds, and then freestyle stuff. And not only to that, I discovered when I went to the Mount Etna, there was another space project from DLR, the German space agency, and they were testing some drones for lunar application and rovers for lunar application, not drones, just rovers. They were using drones
Interesting.
also, and they were using Fat Shark technology, so our technology. And then we have also educational and companies, a reseller company like Rotor, which is pilots, super smart pilot. They are pushing to the limits the drones, doing things that it's
Yeah.
really something very complex to do. So this is a comprehensive team with many areas, and we are thinking to enlarge ourselves to cover the most we can from on the drone world.
Yeah. So I should also mention that Red Cat is publicly traded. You IPO'd. I'm not sure when, but they're in keeping with the theme that I just mentioned, there being similarities with the drone and space world.
I would say, in addition to that, that Red Cat is now as a public company, so is in NASDAQ, which means that we are able to provide the financial needs to support all these technologies, which is important for us and for this world. Besides that, we're still organized in companies together, growing in a sort of organization that can handle everything, and all the structure that are in common where we're joining together, but the specialties of each company is still there.
Okay, we are back after a brief technical snag on a technical hiccup on my end, but I caught the end of the last answer, and then I think I cut out when I wanted to ask my next question. But the question was, there are a lot of space companies that have been public that went public through a different financial vehicle, the SPAC, and a lot of these, it's been a bumpy ride. So a lot of these startup founders turned public company CEOs find themselves, in a somewhat difficult position. And in a lot of cases, the path to profitability is still very long. So was curious to get your thoughts, on the leadership team of a more mature business and still very much deep tech business. If you had any advice for them, for management at these companies in terms of toughing it out in the public markets.
I think that since I had this experience, right? I started the company. There was a company that focused on the technology that is emerging, is growing. Drones technology is not yet mature at all, in my opinion. So we have to start from there. We think the drones technology is mature enough to be, and that is the reason why this market didn't pick up very well. So all of us see this number of the market, the total available market is huge in everywhere, but at the end of the day, we're still seeing not big results, and the profitability is still difficult. Why? Because the drones technology is not mature to a level that could be considered a standard. Besides the toys or the drone that can do aerophotogrammetry, which is pretty mature already, so that is already covered. I suggest to all the people that are starting to work on this technology, or they have a dream on this technology, to be prepared, be an entrepreneur on this world. When you work in something that the people don't know, even in school stuff, you got to educate your market, you got to educate the people, and you have to spend a lot of energy. Who is going to cover this energy? It's not technically only the money. Yes, I know. Well, if you have the capital, you can do that. It's not only that. That is super important. It's important how much energy you have inside to keep going through this path, even when you see there is a lot of failures in front of you. And when I say failures, I don't mean only technical failure. Could be also business side failures. So you're thinking that customer is going to buy, and then the customer changed mind because it's too skeptical, or thinks that I can still use my old way to do this. So you have to be prepared as a founder investor. Your return of investment would be the patience, the energy, and then knowing that you are creating something new for the world. I would say for the worldwide. But this is super important to. I remember a phrase from I think Elon Musk. Doing entrepreneurship means chewing glass, looking to the abyss. That means, so you are chewing glass and you look on the black hole in front of you, and you still have to go forward. If you believe you can resist on that, go for.
There you go. There you go. Words of wisdom. So to close us out here, I have some more rapid fire questions. And the first is actually not something that I came prepared with, but you had mentioned working in a past life on a program, searching for extraterrestrial life. So I'd like to pose the age-old question to you. Do you think, are we alone?
No, at all. And it's not just only a thinking; it's a reality because recently a Japanese probe discovered the presence of amino acid
Hmm.
on a meteor, which means that the basic element of the protein are present besides the hair. Obviously, we can answer to the answer that the Contact movie said, right? Is a waste of space if we are just us. We cannot be so aggressive and um, so rude to think we are alone. It's not possible. That it's not possible at all. There is the distance that yes, I believe I would like to add another small elements besides that. When I get to the space, the first time I was hired by Thales Alenia Space, I was super excited. I was 28 years old, and then and after a year, I was super deluded by this because I discovered how big is the gap, technological gap we have
Yeah.
to travel in the space. That's the problem. It's not the presence of life elsewhere, but we are. It's impossible to reach that unless we don't find a way to
Yeah.
go over the space time. In this moment, there is no technology at all to can put us in even in contact because the radio frequency transmission takes thousands of years to reach maybe the closest part where there is another civilized planet. So that's the problem, not the life, but the technology.
Yeah. Seems like at a few points in this conversation, we've talked about kind of brushing up with the laws or boundaries of physics. Second question is, what's your hottest take or most contrarian view on the future of space?
We are living and again a revival of the space because this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm feeling that the same moment in the past like this was at the beginning of the Apollo program in the 60s because I think the 28 is scheduled the launch of SLS, the first again moon mission from NASA, where we have we will have human on the moon the 25th to
Mhm.
26th of this decade, right? And then we are
Yeah.
going to have people maybe on Mars. So the exploration is taking a revival. So I believe the space is going to grow, which is a great news. So it's a good news for the people, the new age or the new, the younger generation. And then when I was young, I didn't have Google, internet, and so that amazing technology available and cheap. Now you have a lot of technology available and super cheap compared to the past. So there is no excuse for the people that want to get to the space to start and try out that.
Last question, a little bit out of left field and maybe even a bit selfish, but I want to ask you as an Italian, what's the best under the radar, off the beaten path town or city, in your opinion, to visit in Italy?
For visiting visiting, there are so many that it's difficult to know. You can go to Rome. Beside me, there is a stamp of Piazza Navona. Rome is one of the greatest. Venice, Florence. From technological point of view, I would say that a good comparison between the two is artistic point of view, historical and technology point of view is Torino. Torino is a great town, was a kingdom, was the king was there. So you have a lot of historical residencies you can visit. At the same time, there is a nice business cultures on the space, on the railway, and the automotive side. It's the house of Fiat, that town. So I would suggest for anybody want to visit Italy to start from Torino and then go from there southwest or side, on the west side too.
Benissimo. Giuseppe, grazie mille.
Grazie a te, Ryan. It was fun. Thank you very much. I hope it was interesting, my thoughts and our things for the people that can see that. And I thank you very much again for this opportunity.
Yeah. Fascinating conversation and plenty more, but for now, that's a wrap. Part 1, that's a wrap.
Thank you very much. Oh, I want to last thing to say. On the 7th of September, we're going to have one important aerospace meeting in Detroit. Would be the presence of an astronaut, Roberto Vittori, which he participated 4 missions on the space station, and also the former head of the outer space of the United Nations, Simonetta Di Pippo. We have a panel there, and whoever would like to be interested to see that, I can provide the link. Will be streamed and will be also present in Metaverse, so the people can connect on Metaverse.
Amazing. Well, yeah, definitely follow up with the link, and we'll include that when we publish the episode.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Ryan.
Allora, ragazzi, that will do it for Pathfinder 0013. Thank you to Giuseppe for coming on and going pretty rapid fire across the Kármán line a bunch of times with us. Pathfinder is powered by Payload, modern space media brand, and while we have designs on Kobe designs on becoming the largest space content company in the galaxy. For now, we publish an industry-leading newsletter, this podcast, and a few other weekly and monthly newsletters. Shout out Parallax, eyeball emoji, but stay tuned for more on that soon. Anyways, if you like what you heard, subscribe wherever you are watching or listening to this, and leave us a 5-star rating if you're so inclined. It really helps. And as always, you can reach out to me directly at ryan@payloadspace.com with feedback, constructive criticism, amateur drone photos. Would love to see any of y'all's amateur drone photos, or if you just want to say hi. But I will shut up, and that'll do it for this week. I'm Ryan Duffy signing off, and I'll see you back here next week.